Good evening, all. Have you ever checked your wallet and thought, where did my money go? I've been there more times than I like to admit. My name is Goenka. I'm a student at Emirates International School Meadows, and I'm currently studying in year 12. And somewhere between birthday cash and pocket money, I realized something important. My money kept slipping away from me without me even noticing. So I began to think, research, and learn about how money moves in and out of our lives, something many adults figure out way later than they should. Now, you might be wondering, what is a 16-year-old yapping about? And how does he have any knowledge about cash flow management? To be honest, if I was in your situation, I would probably think the same. And this isn't your fault. It's the education system's fault for not teaching students about financial literacy in the 12 to 13 years they stay in school. Now, you might be wondering, why is this particular financial knowledge even required in the first place? The reason is simple. So we can have a bankruptcy-free generation. If you know how to manage your money, you will avoid going bankrupt. Now, don't listen to me, but listen to Alan Greenspan, who says that the number one problem in today's generation and economy is the lack of financial literacy. And now I like to manage my finances with something I call the 5 W's and H. Why, what, where, when, and why, what, where, when, and how. So, where did I spend my money? How I spent my money? So via cash or card. Who spent my money? When did I spend my money? And what did I spend my money on? Right? If you don't keep track of the 5 W's and H, you will eventually lose track of all your expenditure. However, in today's world, it is very easy to acquire all this information. If you have a card, just go to your bank and you will literally find everything. You'll find where you spent it, when you spent it, how you spent it, and what time you spent it. All that's left is just to maintain that. Now, one question that arises in your minds is probably, why does this skill even matter? Well, managing money gives you control of your finances and your future. And sure, an accountant could help, but understanding your finances mean you make smart decisions, save money, and always know where you stand. Here comes one main question. How does one learn about cash flow management? One ideal source, books. You can learn from other people, their experiences, and how they face the world. But keep in mind, all that knowledge is purely theoretical. And to actually apply in your life, you will need practical understanding. Because practical understandings help you deal with real world situations, right? Now, for me, it was my family. They taught me how to lower my expenses and manage my expenses. So this all started in COVID, maybe 6 to 7 years from now. And they told my dad came to me and my older sister with a task to collect all the receipts that came into the household. Fast forward 2 weeks, medium-sized box filled up to the brim with receipts. So now my dad comes to me and gives us access to this accounting software, Tally ERP. And after teaching us the basics of it, he tells us what he sorry. After teaching us the basics of it, we have to segregate every single receipt that came into the household. So, for example, let's say I spent on Enoch 150 dirhams on the 28th of July 2025, right? So Enoch would go into a ledger called fuel, and on Tally, it would look something like this. It would look like, sorry, can you guys switch the slide? It would look at the top right, you would have your date, bottom, you'd have your details, and you'd have your money spent, right? We did this for every single receipt that came in. And eventually, we moved on from receipts to our parents' credit cards and bank account. This small task, taught me how to manage my expenses, right? And we basically managed my parents' cash flow. After that, I learned cash flow management. My parents wanted me to lower the overall costs. But as a 12-year-old at the time, I wasn't motivated. Who would? I would be playing Among Us with my friends rather than doing this. So to keep us motivated, he gave us a salary, right? Which made me eager to find ways to lower our costs. Before, my dad did this by negotiating. So he would go to his local grocery store and you try negotiating. So let's say, for example, a tomato at the time would be 40 rupees. He'd try buying two for 75, and whatever money he saved would be his profit. So in this case, 5 rupees. But I can't do that in today's world for most places. I can't go into Carrefour and tell them, oh, sell me this tomato for half the price. They won't sell it to me, right? But they did make it easier for me to save money by implementing membership programs. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. Share, Shukran, Blue Rewards, Aura, Faza, which is what I use. Hence, I first created a report consisting of all my ledgers and all the expenses for each ledger for the past 6 months. So how much expenses were done on food for the past 6 months, right? I found out, I then found out how much percent it was contributing to my overall expenses. So for example, let's say my overall expenses was 100,000 dirhams, right? And for example, fuel contributed to what, 30,000 of it. So that means it contributed to 30% of my expenses. So now you might be questioning, how does this lower costs? You're right, it doesn't lower costs. But now you've looked at the data from a completely different perspective. And doing this, you can realize which ledger has the highest expense percentage, which in my case would be fuel, right? Now, to lower my overall costs for fuel, I would need to find out the reasons. Reasons why I was spending so much on fuel. The reasons were because my car had bad gas mileage and because my car was excessively used. Now, I can't go and tell my dad to change cars just like that, right? He wouldn't listen to me. And it's fair. But what I did do instead was go to the place I buy most of our fuel, Enoch, right? I pestered them and inquired for any available discounts or membership programs. And to my luck, they had one, the VIP membership program. So in this membership program, if you use a specific type of card from ENBD, you would get 5% cashback. This card was a Lulu card, right? Meaning if I used my Lulu card to spend on fuel, and because my card was registered into their system, I would get 5% cashback in points. And using those points, I could spend them at Lulu Hypermarket, saving me more money, which reduced my costs significantly. At the end of the day, managing money is all about awareness. It's realizing that the small expenses you make every day build up. Everyone here, whether it be teachers, parents, or students, deal with money on a daily basis. And yet most of us move without noticing where it went. That the time when we question ourselves with those unnecessary expenses, we realize something. We ask ourselves the question, do I really need to buy this? Do I need this? That shift in awareness changes the way you manage your finances. Which also brings me to my final point. The answer to solving for why might be right in front of you, but maybe you just need to think from a completely different perspective. Thank you, TEDxDIAB Youth, and thank you everyone here for listening to the speech.